Hey, Shawna here. One of the things that we keep coming back to, we keep finding as kind of the root of a lot of behavior, oftentimes has to do with despooking. Well, it's systematic desensitization and counter conditioning, to use technical terms, but essentially it's despooking them to new situations, new things, new sights, new sounds, so that they learn to interpret those things as good and something they want to do, as opposed to looking at the world as frightening and scary. Instead, they look at it with curiosity and some interest. And that really can resolve a lot of issues with our horses. So with the despooking, and in the despooking course, we really focus on wanting to build confidence and boldness. And that's what happens when we use positive reinforcement. When we use positive reinforcement in the despooking process, we, instead of just teaching them to tolerate it, we actually teach them to enjoy it. So if we, through traditional means, a lot of times what we do is we just bring out the bag on the stick and we kind of keep doing it until they stop dancing around. Well, a lot of times that doesn't build the same emotions anyway as we can build with a positive reinforcement. When we're utilizing the positive reinforcement, we break it down to smaller steps, but we're also utilizing something that they value in this equation. So they start to think, ooh, I'm going to try harder to face my fears. And as they do and they get rewarded, we can bring to it good emotions and a good association. And pretty soon what happens is, instead of them looking at everything as frightful and fearful, they may startle, because that's a normal response, but you'll see them kind of settle right down and go, but what is that? And that's the response we want. We don't want them bolting and leaving. We want them to go, oh, but wait, what is that? So the utilizing positive reinforcement is kind of makes a whole different process out of it. And it does build that curiosity, the boldness, the braveness, and them kind of facing it themselves a bit. So it goes deeper than that situation. They tend to take it to other situations. They do something called generalizing, and we see it all the time. So people will work on some desensitization for, let's say, like from the course, we use toys, like mechanical toys as just something to teach them to. So we would use something, or the tarp, let's say. So let's say we use the tarp, we get them better at the tarp, and then as a lot of times people report, but you know what, he's way better about the trailer, and he's way better about clipping, and he's way better about whatever other things that may have been issues for them. So they do generalize and they start to embrace new things and get, again, much bolder and more confident. So in the video coming up, what I do is I work with a tarpaulin, with mint. And it's a great tool. It's an old standby that we've all heard about, but it is really good because it brings a lot of elements to the equation. It brings the sight. You have this big wafting, moving thing. So you have the sight and the action. It has a sound to it. It's typically pretty noisy, and that can be quite intimidating as well. We can use it to put on them. We can use it for them to walk on. It wafts in the wind. All of these things are addressing different components that some horses may find more fearful than other horses. So it's a great way to kind of start getting them. It's a great tool. But again, we want to go really slow and build it up. So we don't just have them terrified, but we build up till they start to see the tarp isn't scary. In fact, I like the tarp. The tarp is a good thing. In the video coming up, you're going to see Mint. Mint he's a more advanced horse. He's had these desensitization exercises. So when I bring new things to him, he's pretty much like, well, okay, this always ends up good. And so he has a very good view of things. So this is kind of a more advanced techniques that I'm using for him. I wouldn't just come bounding up to a brand new horse with a tarp and just toss it on his head. That would clearly be too much. But we built up, and you can see the trust. And I'm going to add, he's a thoroughbred, really prone to flight. So I'm going to add that in. I mean, you can see he's really comfortable with it. He's calm with it. And this is where we can get with all of our horses. Another thing that we always want to do is kind of just desensitize them to stuff. So I taught Minty first to walk on the tarp, which he kind of started to show you already. If they just walk on it. Good boy. And I gotta tell you, he's very cautious about his footing. He's ridiculously, he looks at the dirt changes color. He moves forward, but he's very aware of it. That's why teaching the cha-cha for him was very easy, because he's watching the ground and your feet all the time. Good boy. Can we just trot over it? Come on. Good boy. And then the other thing I wanted him to be just sensible about it, any movement, anything that I did. So I wanted to make sure that I could take it this way. And have him just be sensible, because I think it's really important. Somebody's got to be sensible if it's not me. And he's really good teaching him to have the tarp on him so that you can put it over his head, even where he can't really see, and ask him to walk forward. Over this way. Yeah, the wind kind of got you. There you go. This way. Oh boy. And you could see he couldn't see me, so he just kind of kept going somewhere. Oh boy.